All right, everybody. Welcome into another episode of Simply Investing for our Tuesday night stream, talking about politics and investing. So, we're going to have fun talking about what you guys think will happen in the U.S. 2024 election. I know that probably a lot of talk about crypto and everything. We'll have to see if you're on the YouTube side. You can join in live and discuss your thoughts, or hit the guest button down below. We can join in and share your thoughts about how the election will change the economy. Are you doom and gloom, or are you optimistic about the future? What are you doing, and how are you preparing for that? It's definitely going to be crazy. I have a lot of my thoughts on there, and we can certainly go over as we're waiting for Cody and a few of our moderators to get in. But thank you guys for joining in. Definitely look over some topics. Shout out to Fully Anonymous. Welcome back in. EGOT stock. Yeah, we can look at it. I could look that up for you in a little towards the end of the live there, buddy. Right now we're kind of going over how politics will affect your investment strategies, and what do you think is going to happen, and how will you adapt. Shout out to Fei Wu. I hope I got that name right. It's a case of pick your poison, in my opinion. And in terms of presidency, yeah, they each got their own terms, own policies, own everything. It's kind of like it's really a two-party system run by one person. Shout out to Crypto Dream. Welcome in, joining us on the YouTube side. Definitely appreciate you having you in here. So it's open forum, so anyone can definitely join. Just let me know if you want to come in. Just click the link and we can join you in. The election is definitely going to have an effect on the U.S. economy, one way or the other, positive, negative, or neutral. But it's definitely going to have an effect. My belief is it's either someone's going to be taking over a disaster or someone's going to make it a disaster, and it really depends, because we also have Biden's student loan promise about student debt forgiveness, and if he wants to get reelected, that's kind of going to be the big caveat. So you can't promise something that big and not deliver your entire term. So he's going to have to try to deliver and try to get elected. However, I wouldn't be surprised if he's pitching it that hard. But before we get into all that fun stuff, let's go over some of the welcome basics. Welcome in, everybody. So as more and more people come in, if I do miss your comment, I do apologize. Our moderators are still coming in. We're on live an hour earlier than we normally are, so bear with us here. But also on top of all that, I know a lot of people are busy, and it's right around dinner time and getting off of work, so I'm not expecting some traction right away. So if I do miss your comment, I do apologize. I'll try to go back through and shout out everybody that commented. Um, Also, if you want to come on live, you don't have to cam up, but you can certainly come on, speak your opinion on live. You don't have to show your face. You can just certainly come on live, or if you want to hit the guest icon, certainly hit that guest icon and join in. We're going to have this live kind of once every week on Tuesday about politics and the election and what's going on in politics in the world and how it's going to affect investing and how we're adapting and changing to it. There's definitely a lot of opinions around this, a lot of on both sides. So we'll have to see where it will take us in the future. Also, if you guys could like, subscribe, and follow us, like and share the live, it really helps us grow and build. We're almost 2/3 to our goal of 3,000 followers. So I hope we can just keep on chugging along. If you guys can like and follow. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're up to 232 subscribers, and we're getting close to that 500 subscriber goal. So it'd be really cool if we could hit that. But we're going to keep chugging along, and this is something that Cody and I like to talk about, and we like to bring other people in for the conversation for you guys. Shout out to Reptile King. Welcome in, buddy. Hope you had a great day. I'm having a wonderful day. A little tired. Also, for all you regulars or new people that are coming in, we normally have a crypto morning stream or morning market news stream in the morning, but tomorrow morning we will not have it as I will be out on the road. So, but it also depends. I might be able to squeeze some time in, but we'll have to see. There's a huge moving job for my moving company locally that I got to help out on and get that taken care of. Shout out to talking. I had a great day because I had a half day. I have a half day tomorrow, and I get off at 11:45. Hey, that's great. That's wonderful news. It's like, and hopefully all you guys are having a great time chasing that bag, living your dream, saving and investing for your future. So, like always, like and subscribe. Links are in the bio, Patreon, everything, links in the bio there. And we're going to hopefully get you some good content, more good content coming as we keep building and developing the platform. You can subscribe to the Patreon for free and get the free newsletter every week. Shout out to Fei Wu. I really hope I get that name. Won't be surprised if we get ourselves into another war, to be honest. Surprised that crypto market didn't pump with today's CPI data. Yeah, I wasn't expecting any more of a pump. I was expecting a relief rally on that data, as the economic status of the country is kind of flat as they're reporting. We kind of talked about this on our morning stream that the CPI data is still being a little bit manipulated with the oil reserves being pumped into the market to reduce fuel prices and energy costs and trying to help like the overall consumer of the economy. However, it's not going to it's eventually going to level out, but I believe that the Fed should just keep raising rates until we go up another like 1.5%, because you just kind of got to rip apart the market, not really like have a cool down. But that's my opinion. Well, hopefully we can hopefully the market can turn around. Hopefully the economy can turn around. We are coming to the bottoming out of the recession, so there is more hardship to come. Shout out to Crypto Dream. Did you see what he said about inflation not being caused by government spending, which is yes, but actually no? I heard someone say that when good CPI, there is usually a bit of a drop. Yeah, usually. Well, also we're coming to the holiday seasons. People are liquidating profits to facilitate their lives, especially traders. They're selling off to cash out profits, which would be understandable and something I would recommend if your risk tolerance says to take profits. I would definitely do that. But as far as it is, the government spending is causing inflation. It's not. Like inflation is caused by government spending, because how we do government spending is we print more money, we issue more debt, which devalues the dollar, which increases inflation. The only way that we can fix it is we either have to produce more, so our GDP has to rise above inflation and above our expenses, or we have to reduce our expenses or raise taxes. And most likely they're going to raise taxes. That's most likely going to be the thing. Unfortunately, if the Democrats are Unfortunately, for whoever's in power, if you raise taxes right now, you're only going to crush the middle class and thus crush the voting base. So I have a feeling that neither side will raise taxes, but I have a feeling if Biden gets reelected, taxes will be raised. And if you hear some bone crunching, that's just my German Shepherd chewing away on his bone. As you know, he's been asleep all freaking day while I'm in the office, and now he wants to chew on things. So just if you hear that, just good old puppy just chewing away over there. Um, Shout out to Feiwu. There's still that government shutdown too. Yeah, there's still a possible government shutdown. No one's really agreeing on the debt, just kind of postponing it. However, they're going to get that resolved before the holiday season and everything, because that also means elected officials don't get paid either. So trust me, they're gonna make sure they get paid through the holiday season. But and shout out to your other comment before. Yeah, we will have a war. Of course, with the history of the U.S., the more wars we have, the more money we make, the more our economy produces. Just the nature of what we do. It's it's just the way our economy is built. Defense contractors, defense, anything revolving around defense and manufacturing will have a huge effect on the economy. Yeah, and they always like to wait till the last minute because it really doesn't affect them either way, other than that they lose their benefits. And trust me, because if the government truly shuts down, then all the politicians no longer have a secret service. So because you can't pay them, and they're not going to come in unless they get paid. So, and like most people who do jobs. Shout out to Fully Anonymous. Why was the market so good today? Mostly because of CPI data, positive reflections on the economy and the interest rate. Hold on, guys. Odin, hey, knock it off. All right. Sorry about that. He's getting louder and louder. The overall, like what has been reported in the news, looks overly positive for the economy. And right now, they're trying to pitch it and swing it into Biden's favor, saying like, "Oh, he had a rough. It's a good news, and he has a rough job." Unfortunately, we're really coming to the bottoming out of the recession, so it's kind of like the candle flickers brightly before it goes down. Hold on a second. Hey, Odin, knock it off. Um, it's it's going to burn brightly before it burns out. So unfortunately, I think we're ready for we're headed towards a crash today, or not to in the next couple months. Well, not really a crash, but the bottoming out of the recession, because trucking's not looking so good, logistics not looking so good. We can't get drivers. Fuel costs, even though they went down, they're still high. Cost of doing business is still high. Cost of insurance is still high. We can't get food from perishables from one place to another. We got California raising regulations and restrictions on trucking. Uh, the farmers out there are in trouble because they can't get enough water, because the cartels are stealing the water in Southern California because they don't have enough police force and not really enforcing laws. It's like, man, it's just absolutely insane, like what actually is happening underneath all that stuff. So, and on top of that, we can't get any products or goods really out of New Mexico, or not New Mexico, Mexico. So all that stuff is just going down, down, down. It's like it's like everything else. It's like the basement is crumbling and disappearing, but everyone else on the first floor is saying like, "Oh, the sky is purple and has always been purple," and everyone else in the basement's like, "What do you mean? The sky is blue and falling apart, and the ground beneath us is crumbling." And that's kind of like where we are. The middle class is feeling the crunch. We got crazy housing market. They're going to have a rough holiday season, and it's going to leave a lot of people angry, and they're going to change sides. Like, I know a lot of political analysts are saying that this is probably going to be the biggest a big Democratic win, but it's not. I'm telling you right now, if hard times make people conservative, and it's the hard times are coming with the bottoming out of the recession. And when the Democrats say, "Hey, I followed and believed and voted for all these policies, now I can't feed my family," and I'm looking, and the conservatives are feeding their family, I'm going to start voting conservatives. Maybe they have something going on there, and that's what's going to happen. Or just people are going to say, "Hey, you're in charge. You messed up our lives. You're the one. You're the leader. You got to take the fall, and you're going to take the fall." And that's one of the ways it's going to happen. Shout out to Reptile King. Are you going to be on tomorrow at all? Yeah, well, I'll be on tomorrow in the evening for our scam one, but we won't be. I might not be on in the morning for our morning market news. It depends. We have a pretty big job locally for my moving company that kind of needs all hands on deck at this site. So we're all kind of going to be out there. Shout out to Fully Anonymous. What's the best case scenario for the election? Honestly, the best case scenario for the election is if we don't get Biden in office, we just get anyone else other than Biden in there, and we start having effective change around the finance industry regulation, because that change in that regulation is going to effectively fix the economy. That's how it's going to work, because if we don't have that change, we're not going to be able to affect that we're going to keep repeating the same cycle. Every 20 years, we're going to have a big bust, followed by a boom, followed by a mini bust, followed by a great boom, followed by a big bust, and just going back and back and back and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And unfortunately, we have to break the cycle at some point. Otherwise, we're just kicking all the problems down the road. So I'm not a big fan of Biden being in power, because I think he's crushing the economy, and the way that there are a lot of local Democratic elected officials in cities and stuff, because now they're moving out of the cities and they're coming to other areas, and they're trying to affect the same change, and it's like this change is ruining. Like it's just like in San Francisco. I'm all for full punishment. You do something wrong, you get punished, because some of this stuff is just out of line. Like, I mean, kids always try to like bum rush a store. I worked in an inner city at a convenience store as a general manager, and it was a pain in the butt, but it was never as bad as what it is now. Shout out to Akbar, thanks for the follow. Shout out to I can't don't know your name, but shout out to you, buddy, who's got 26, I guess. In theory, not sure what you're thinking about. Shout out to Reptile King. What's your favorite thing about crypto? My favorite thing about crypto is that it's gonna be a kind of like a sixth asset category that we can invest in, and it's gonna help a lot of us break away from the cycle, from this banking cycle, so that people can finally get some freedom of choice and happiness in there. Shout out to Knowledge. They just pick who they want to be president, anyways. Of the vote thing is to keep the masses calm. That's a yes and no, but you'd be surprised that the election is actually picked by the voters. The thing is, though, is that the election and using social media nowadays, it's very, very manipulated. Like you can it used to be when I was 18, it used to be you had two sides, you could talk about it, you can say, well, I disagree, but I like someone's pop, I disagree, I think this person's better candidate, or yada or whatever. But nowadays it's like they're manipulated into full swing, just full swing crazy. Like it's either you like my candidate or you're the enemy, and that's how it's been portrayed. Shout out to Crypto Dream. I love how you know business. You're the only one I listen to that knows crypto and stocks from a businessman angle. Hey, well, I appreciate that, Crypto Dream, and definitely give out a shout out to Crypto Dream. Go support his channel. He has a YouTube channel and a TikTok. Give him a follow and subscribe. He's almost to 500 subscribers on YouTube, so let's help him get there. But definitely appreciate all you guys coming in here. If anyone new, I see a lot more new people coming in. We're just talking about the 2014 election, how it will affect the world, your investments. How will you invest? What's your trading strategy? What do you expect? Do you think it's all going to hell, or do you think we have an opportunity to have salvation in it? Speak your piece. You guys can definitely come on live and chat. I This might not be as long as many of our other lives, probably only an hour because I'm getting ready to go home for the day. Uh, but I do want to say that I do want to continue on with saying that this election is going to be very pivotal. It's going to be very pivotal towards how our economy is going to go. I do think that we need a president that comes in that says, "Hey, let's fix the books. Let's actually build back better, bring industry back, bring incentives back for companies to work with the American citizenry to get them good jobs, good incomes, build up the economy, build back the infrastructure, build everything." Instead, we're kind of getting like, "Oh, we're going to build back." And then they just kind of say, "Oh, we're not going to follow through with anything." Shout out to Faye Wu. We can't have 4 more years of Sleepy Joe. Yeah, but Joe Biden is not the greatest. He's not the greatest. But if you're for Joe Biden and you're in here, come on now, come on down, speak your opinion. I dropped the link into YouTube as well. Definitely, if you want to come in and join and bring on your thoughts. Uh, I think this is going to be the era of like I think we're going to have 4 parties after this election. The 2024 election is going to spawn 4 parties because we already have Republicans and Democrats. And what we're going to have is libertarians, and then we're going to have a really extreme alt left group because even the alt left is telling Democrats they're not going far enough left, and they're eventually going to break away. So we might have a 4 party system, and I think a libertarian president would be good for like a peacetime, no conflict, and let's turn the economy around to make things better. That'd be great. But going right now, I think we need more of like a conservative military aspect person to say, "Hey, who's been in the military, been in leadership in the military, and can help kind of steer the United States in the right direction, get us out of some of the conflicts, get some of this stuff resolved, things like that." Shout out to knowledge. It's going to go the same way, regardless of who's in office. They're just puppets, and that's true too. There a lot of people are under the assumption that like once a president gets into office, they might have all these great things that they want to do, but then the mysterious suits come in and tell them, "Hey, this is how things actually run," and shut up. You're going to do what we tell you to do. So who knows? You don't know until you become president. Maybe one of us can run for president and we'll finally know the truth. But what I can say is that no matter who gets into that office, it's going to be a change. We're either going to get significantly worse or we're going to get better, significantly better. I'm kind of hoping we get someone who's a little business minded, but more like military leadership, like has been like a colonel or higher in some position, or like a master chief or higher on the Navy side, something like that. Someone who knows how to lead a group of people, take direction from advisors, things like that. I don't know if Trump would be a good bet for the next election, although he is going to win the masses. I'm telling you, he's going to win the masses. And the thing about Trump is he's going to win because he's quick with his sarcastic wit. So he can say he's more oriented with sound bites, whereas Joe won by not campaigning, and the Democrats loved it because it was like, "Oh, look at Joe Biden, he's following the pandemic rules and everything like that. Let's vote for him." No, that was a bad decision. And then you got a lot of Democrat officials talking about going back to lockdowns, redoing lockdowns. Well, first off, the COVID thing, like it was like both sides are kind of right. Like the alpha strain of it was pretty deadly. It was knocking people down left and right. But then like any alpha strain, it eventually eases up and it becomes livable. It doesn't want to kill its host. But then like by the time the policies came into effect, we were well past the alpha strain and most people lived through that strain. And it seemed like it was more of a political move, shut down, authoritative view, and things like that. I was in. Arkansas. I've been in Arkansas when that happened, so I didn't really shut my furniture store down at the time, nor did I shut my moving company. We're actually going through a boom. It was busy. So I guess I guess eh, for other places it was pretty harsh and pretty rough. So if there's talks of that, they're pushing more and more people to the Republican side. Like the Democrats are pushing more people to the Republican side. Shout out to Knowledge. Seemed like it was practice for the future. Yeah, it was definitely the future, and you saw how quickly people comply. Which I get it. There's a massive pandemic. Let's try to go with the rules. Let's try to curb the spread. All that stuff. People did that for 2 weeks, and um, then all of a sudden, it was it just kept going on. And it was just like, it's not really affecting anybody. But I will say this: there were people that said, "Oh, COVID wasn't nothing." I guess it was just karma because they got hit the worst from it. I did have a guy that had like a three-chamber heart attack, and he almost died from it. He was out for 6 weeks with it. So it affected, if you had a heart condition or a lung condition or a weakened immune system, it definitely affected you. But a lot of people, it affected their voting swing, and that's where the country became divided again. Uh, but this time, I think people are going to shift towards more conservative values, because when the economy starts going bad while Democrats in office, conservatives start to spike because it's save, work hard, get back, grind it out, endure the pain of the recession, and let's build the country back up. Democrats aren't usually known for that. There's only been two Democratic presidents like that, really, and that was Roosevelt during the Great Depression and Obama during the Great Recession, that kind of came in and they set policies that started putting us back on the right track. Although both eras, you had to spend a tremendous amount of money. The first one, Roosevelt, kind of led to us moving off the gold standard to kind of reset our currency. And then now, from Obama to now, we've just been printing money. So if you're if we get the right person, we'll have a result. Me personally, I think uh, JFK is going to be good, um, but I also think there's a few other libertarian candidates who could be good. There are some good potential Democratic candidates that would be better than Joe Biden, but it's very rare that even their own party would not reelect an incumbent president. So it's going to be a little tricky as to how things go. Shout out to Crypto Dream. Vivek wouldn't go hard against Trump, so Trump could win the Republican nomination. I don't know though. I was wrong last election. I don't think Vivek is going to make it. He's too young, and he doesn't have the. I don't think he has the capabilities to really run a country like the United States. Like if he was like prime minister of like France, nobody would really care. But you're talking about president of United States, one of the most powerful countries in the world, with the biggest and most powerful military and all its complexities and everything involved in it. So we might see some craziness. We're not going to see him come through. We're not going to see him come through. He might have a cabinet position. He might be vice president. I don't think he'll be. Well, no, he could be vice president because he's kind of like a showmanship position, and he's just going to sit there. Because I think everything's going to swing right, like how we had like a pretty big blue wave last time. I think we're going to have a phenomenal red wave, but even though Trump will probably run or attempt to run for election, I don't think they're going to pick Trump. I don't think they're going to pick Trump, but you never know, because there are a lot of people, and I see in Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, there's a lot of people that are waving Trump 2024 flags. So there's definitely a huge voter base for him, and if he gets into office, I think things will stabilize, but he'll spend too much money, which is kicking the can down the road again, causing us problems down the road. We need someone that comes and says, "Hey, we're not going to kick the can down the road. We're going to take this one on the chin. We're going to square up and we're going to fight back. And that's the type of president we need. We don't need someone that says, well, I can do some things, we're going to kick the can down the road, and we're going to do some things, we're going to kick the can down the road, and we'll just keep kicking it down the road until we can't kick it no more. But it's not our problem because we won't be here. No, we need someone that comes in and says, no, we're going to take it on the chin, we're going to take that punch to the face, we're going to square up, and we're going to start fighting back, and we're going to work hard at fighting back. That's the type of president we need. Doesn't matter what party affiliation they have, they need to have that. And I think right now America needs really just a strong military based candidate to really be president. That's what's needed. That's just my opinion. And I never served. I could tell you that that's still probably what we need to get America back on the right position there for you. Shout out to Reptile King. How long have you been in crypto and your other businesses? Well, 6 years for my moving company, 4 years for the logistics company, 2 years invested in crypto, 20 years invested in the stock market, and furniture store about a year, and the construction company about 8 months there. Shout out to Flipia. The only time he won it was a super slim majority electorally in the Northeast and North Midwest. I think you're referring to Biden. Yeah, it was a pretty close. It was a pretty close race, very very close. Kind of came down to the wire on that. But I think this time you get a candidate who has a strong leadership presence plus charisma. That person is what we need for the United States. Shout out to Repto King. How do you keep up with all those businesses? I would get mad at myself. Well, the moving company and the logistics company, I'm kind of the CEO. The furniture store, I have appointed a veteran person who's a CEO and can run those businesses. I also have the construction company. I'm only a 33% owner, so I just kind of watch the finances. I don't really do a lot of work in there other than coordinating hot shot deliveries with my logistics side of with my logistics company. So, and I have a sales team and everything like that. So I know a lot of them work from home because there really is no need to be in the office, and they do a great job for me. Shout out to he Flipia. A Republican would have to have actual moderate views. How are they going to win Ohio, Michigan, and Penn? Yeah, they have to have. I think if you have a Republican run and they're saying, hey, we got to bring back Roe v. Wade, it's that is a right for the people, not the state. I think that will win over a lot of people and bridge the middle ground because a lot of people are on edge about that, both Republicans and Democrats. Shout out to Reptile King. What are we talking about today? We were talking about the election and how it's going to affect investing, the economy, and how if you are preparing for it, what's your take on it, what's your opinion, and you guys can chime in live. We got about 23 minutes left on this live before I gotta head home, before I gotta start packing up and heading home because I'm pretty tired and very hungry. Been sticking to my 1 meal a day diet and it is crushing me. So, but we can definitely hopefully see. Let's get those likes up too. If we can get the likes up and share and get as many people in here. Where's Cody? Who knows? He's a young guy. He might be might be out. Living life, doing a date. We rarely prepare for this live. He also might be in another interview for another job. Although he did get that job as the fresh food manager for that convenience store chain. So shout out to him. He definitely got that position. It's definitely going to help him elevate his financial position in life. Okay, I think we got everybody there. But I do really want to say, I don't see this election being chaotic. But I do see there'll be some upset people, and if the Republicans win, the Democratic side will kind of will do the same thing they did in 2016. They'll go out in the streets, they'll scream, they'll complain, they'll act like they're protesting, but in the end, they don't do anything because they're not willing to spill their blood for their cause. They're not really willing take the beat, take the hit to the face to stand their ground. They'll run away and say, "Oh my God, like what's happening?" It's like, whereas the Republicans, they'll take the hits on the face. They'll take out the hits all day to stand by what they believe. So that's kind of the thing. So, but as far as being in business and running businesses and preparing my net worth and finances for this, I have to say the best chance is going to be if we get a moderate Republican in office. That's going to be the best chance for turning this kind of ship around. But we need someone that can look at the process and say, hey, let's not keep kicking the can down. Let's take it on the chin and kind of stand our ground and fight back and build this back up. Because I don't see this really changing if Biden stays in office. The problems are just going to keep growing exponentially. I mean, they're talking about debt, but it's like you're still raising the debt. It's like they talk, oh, well, Trump raised the debt, but it's like so did you. You raised the debt just as much. So how are we going to fix this? I say get rid of the healthcare and all that stuff for the for a lot of those politicians and change it to a 2 or 3 term for senators and maybe like 3 terms for senators and 6 terms for representatives. And you have to be. I'd say you probably should have to be older than 30, but younger than 60 to be able to run for office. That way, you're not too old to be disenfranchised, but you can't be too young to where you don't understand how everything works. Shout out to Reptile King. Congratulations, Cody. Yeah, shout out to Cody. He's working really hard. Shout out to Crypto Cleaner. Yeah, that's what I think. Moderate Republican. Yeah, we're on the same page. Fei Wu, they really need something about that. Yeah, they do. They need to fix that because there's people in there that have been around for 100 years. Like there are people who are in political office that were born before everybody in the U.S. had a car. Just think about that for a second. Just think about that for a second. Before every single American could have access to a car or a bus or riding public transportation, they were alive because a lot of the public transportation didn't really take effect until like the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And there are people who were born and grew up in the Great Depression that are trying to understand the world right now, where technology is exponentially changing and growing and developing. Should even humanity is changing and developing. We're now having kids born without wisdom teeth. So even people are being born a little different. There's changes happening. And they're still back in the day when it was like, oh, we used to use lard. We always had lard to cook with. So they need to shout out Feu, just like Mitch McConnell. He should have retired like 30 years ago. He can't possibly relate. And his version of the world is really the Jim Crow riots. That's his world. That's his world. That's his knowledge. He was a statesman at that time, and he was that was the 60s and 70s. So I think he was in his like late 30s or early 40s. So like he shouldn't have been in. He should not be in. He should not be making policy. He went to school before even the Soviet Union was in the public school books. So yeah, he can't be the person speaking and defending for people. He has to be the one to he has to step aside. Yeah, dude is serving his 50th term. Yeah, it is. And I'm surprised he's still alive. Like, not to say that I wish harm on anybody, but it's like, at what point? How long are you going to live? You should have passed away by now. But that just goes to show you how things need to change. But I guess I do appreciate all you guys joining in, chiming in. Really appreciate all that support. Definitely. But let me give you my thoughts on how I'm going to survive. So how I'm going to change it. If a Democratic candidate comes in and we start really getting that going forward for that carbon neutral crap, I would uh, I would probably start to look to sell my moving and logistics company. I would probably exit out because unfortunately, you know, an EV truck is not going to be able to haul. It's not right now. Maybe in 100 years, 200 years, technology gets better, energy sources get better. I know enough about chemical engineering and physics that cadmium, lithium cadmium battery can't possibly can't possibly be able to hold enough energy. The battery's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I want if we're going to talk about carbon neutral, I want something that's humane extraction of resources. So I want the people in the Congo and in the underprivileged areas to not be suffering and mercury poisoning and mining those materials so that everyone can have their iPhones. Everyone needs to participate, or I'm going to throw your policies out the window. Shout out to 710. California is even banning the sale of small engine machines in 2024. Yep, everything has to go electric, and that's going to be very bad because heat and electric don't work, and actually the cost to build an EV or electric engine is more harmful to the environment on both a carbon scale and an environmental and hard metal scale than having a combustion engine. Like you're not producing that much carbon dioxide with a gas powered lawnmower, but you will produce a lot of carbon by having to use oil to produce the plastics to burn and refine all that to make that stuff. Yeah, it's bad for landscaping companies because you're like the gas powered engine can go a long time. Like the electric, I couldn't imagine doing an electric mower and then having to go do like 20 lawns in a day and have to recharge. I mean, prices are going to once again shoot up, and then you kind of push. It's like the electric cycle of carbon neutral policies is literally destroying the middle class by making it unaffordable for people, changing the cost of energy upwards and decreasing the availability of a good economic position. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of people want to head. And I can tell you right now, the environment's actually pretty good. I don't know where they're saying, oh, it's warming up. Yeah, it's naturally warming up. It was warming up. We were coming out of the coldest period. Let's knock that shit off. Because what's happening is that yeah, we might be burning it a little bit more, we might be accelerating a little bit more. However, it like when I was growing up, the ozone was just gone. Like you could walk out, sunburn. Like 30 minutes out in the sun, sunburn. That was the 80s. That was the 80s and early 90s. Then along came a crazy invention called the laser printer, and it actually just naturally produces ozone particles as it's printing. So now they're cheap. That laser printer went from like $10,000 to $100. Everyone's got one, and we're printing all the time off of that stuff. And boom, the ozone came back. Like I could go out now. You don't get sunscreen. You don't get burnt when you're driving long distance. I used to do road trips when I was 18, and like your arm would get blistered red sometimes if you drove too like had it out in the sun too long. Now, you don't get sunburn. It doesn't get that. Like we've had some heat waves, but that's because we change. That's because El Nino naturally changes about every 5 to 7 years, and change is changing its pattern. So we're naturally going to get warmer, and then we're going to get really, really cold. And it's like that's just ridiculous to think that we're causing all these issues. Shout out to Sean Miller. Welcome in. Glad to have you in here. Curious if others have had this happen. I sold 10K worth of today, made a bit over 8%, got nervous and pulled the trigger. I don't know. I'm not invested in that. We could talk about that on the next crypto morning news because we're really talking about the election. But hey, we do appreciate you joining in and coming in and joining live. Really appreciate having you in here. We're about, and unfortunately, we're about ready to sign off for the day. But I would have to say, like, if a Democratic candidate comes in, there'll be a lot of hard changes. There'll be a lot of hard changes to how things will be working for logistics and everything else. And I don't see those policies being the carbon neutral policies being any good for logistics because we're so reliant on trucking and a diesel combustion engine to move and ship goods that changing by 2030 is pretty much going to shut down the industry. And then unfortunately, we're going to have like one of those dystopian futures where everybody kind of shifts into these big mega cities and we have to rely on recycled foods. And that movie Soylent Green kind of comes to mind. Shout out to Crypto Dream. When my wife and I moved down, we remember temperatures hitting 115, but at 109 this year, the news was saying it was the hottest it's ever been. Yeah, I remember. I remember when I was a kid, Texas was having like 130-degree days. Like people were going out there cooking on the asphalt. Like legitimately, like you just pop an egg and instant it would cook. Tires melting, things like that. I remember Florida was just overbearingly hot, and you had to have like a certain type of sunscreen to be down there. I remember when my family went to Hawaii, and even with sunscreen, we got burned pretty bad. And this was in the 90s. But now it's like I've been to these places. I've been to Las Vegas. I've been to California. I've been even to Death Valley driving through for my moving company, and I did not experience that. So, but I will say this: it's gotten colder. It's gotten way cold. Like when the winter hits, it hits. It gets freaking cold. And maybe it's because I lived in Florida for 4 years before moving to Northwest Arkansas, but it has gotten freaking cold, and I think that's gonna change. And I wonder because if we're trying to go carbon neutral, how's that going to affect heating? Because most people heat their house with either natural gas or oil. I know my parents do oil, and if they can't get oil, they're going to be very, very cold because electric heater doesn't work in their old house. Shout out to Billy Beans. I'm not sure what you're saying there. Quasi particles. You're the only thing you know to say to me about me and you and you. I'm not sure. Maybe you're quoting a song there. Shout out to 710. Do you think the gas powered engine sales ban can be lifted, or is it a long shot? I think it'll be lifted. It'll be lifted after, unfortunately, a lot of chaos will happen. I think what will happen is people will start starving. People get upset. There'll be a revolution. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, Billy Beans. Okay, I get it. Okay, yeah. Well, hey, shout out, buddy. But thanks for joining in. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But um, the I think because there's going to be a lot of grandfather things, so the price of old trucks is going to go up. If you're a diesel mechanic, you're going to be in high value because there's going to be a huge demand for it as people can no longer buy new trucks, they have to fix them. So you're going to be in high demand for that. However, I still think it's going to be harsh because like companies like Walmart are just going to switch over. They're going to realize that, oh shit, I can't ship my goods so far out away. So let's just shut down the stores in Montana, Nebraska, Dakotas, Alaska because we can't ship it there. So just screw it. We're just going to focus on big cities close to the ports, close to our distribution centers. And unfortunately, a lot of people will be kind of forced out. This was the best one I've ever watched. Shout out to Billy Beans. This was the best one I ever watched. Thanks so much. Very nice to meet him today. Great man. I was thinking about as I have no clue how I feel when I'm in a situation. Um, It's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough one. This election. It's really a toss up. But so many people are focusing on carbon neutral, and not many people are realizing how much that's going to affect our situation going forward. Shout out to Crypto Dream. Is TT going to ban you for saying the revolutions? A serious nervous laugh. I don't think so, but I do think we get shadow banned for saying that because it is a Chinese app. But you never know. We might have one if you push the citizenry tough enough. The the right scenario could make it happen. So it's hard to say if it is going to happen. It probably won't, but if it does, you gotta make sure you win. Otherwise, you're a loser, and losers tend to suffer. Um, what all I can say about it is if the economy swings too fast, too rapidly, and too many people go without food, resources, and are experiencing the cold or the hot and can't survive and can't work, can't provide for the families, there's going to be a change. There will be a change. There always is a change. No matter what any government says, the citizens always have the power. And they realize when they realize they have the power, that's when true change starts to happen. But with that said, we're going to be clocking out today. It's been about an hour for you guys. Really, oh, okay, I see what you're saying, Billy. Means change of plan for me. I'm going to be at the hospital at the end of September. I am in my office. Shout out to Fei Wu. Hey, glad you enjoyed the live. And hopefully you guys can like and subscribe, have fun. I'm just sorry, I'm just seeing notifications pop on for my email. So, but thank you guys. Really appreciate you guys joining in. It's definitely been a good thing to get some of this some of my minds on the election. We'll probably get the Tuesday streams about the election and the economy is probably where I would say is probably going to get more participation as we go. Shout out to Billy Beans. Was the best place in New Mexico. That's I would be willing to order to I guess to go there in person because I have to be in a meeting with the manager. I'm going back home. Shout out to Crypto Cleaner. Go eat now. Yeah, I'm gonna go get some dinner. But glad to have you guys in here. Glad to thank you for all your support and everything. Hope you guys like and subscribe. Can subscribe to us on YouTube as well. All the links are in the bio. Um, if you'll get a notification if we go live tomorrow morning. Um, I'm so sorry to hear that, Billy Bean. So I hope you feel better. I hope you can work through that. Um, I hope we're going to see how this election goes. But thank you guys. Like and subscribe. We'll be at it again on the next live. We'll see you then. And hopefully you guys, invest right, do your own research, and don't invest more than